Hello there! I would like to inform you that what you are about to listen to are the views and comments of the host and the guests only. They do not reflect the views of the community as a whole. Also, side effects of listening to this podcast might include headache, cardiac arrhythmia, nausea, an increase in blood pressure, temporary insanity, permanent insanity, involuntary cursing, shouting, hemorrhoids, spontaneous combustion, abdominal larvae, zombie reanimation, and a permanent loss of faith in mankind. Anyway, I hope you enjoy the podcast. Eddie, do your banter section.
So I don't want to sound like a diva, but really excited for next week.
You should be a diva.
What? Yes, I know. I like being. Well, no, wait. Do I like being a diva? Yeah, go on. I like being a diva.
We love the attention. I feel like the rule is on birthdays that you're not allowed to like it when people force you to stand on a chair and for everyone to sing a song for you. But it is kind of nice to stand on that chair and have everyone underneath you singing your praise.
So, I tell you something. I think this happened on my 40th birthday, but I both like and dislike when restaurants stop and sing "Happy Birthday" to you. I absolutely, genuinely both love it and hate it. If it's like it's the attention. I'm like, oh, it's my birthday, yay! And it's, oh my god, the attention's on me. Oh my god, no. So yes, I have a love-hate relationship with like that type of attention. So yeah.
But I'm sure everyone's jotting down your birthday now.
Well, I haven't said out loud yet what it is.
Oh,
April 13th. Anyway, so. Hello, everybody. This is the Ed Talks About podcast, a podcast series talking about cosplay, Comic-Con, and everything else. I'm your host, Eddie, and this week we are talking about what goes into a cosplay competition. I can't imagine why I'm talking about this. Can't be based on the YouTube thing that's gone out recently. Anyway, joining us on the podcast is Lisa of Lisa Art.
That's me. Hi.
I really should say art because there's two A's. Art.
Yes. But that's not a sound you make in English.
Isn't it art? It's art. Oh my god, I feel like I've lost a brain cell or two. Oh no. Because there is someone else who comes on the podcast every so often, and I will say it as a cosplay handle, it's h.oni b. Because they got a dot in the word honey. So it's h.oni b. Oni B, actually it should, because that's all in one. Anyway, she's not on this podcast. They are not on this podcast, so that's one side. Anyway, Lisa, how are you?
I am well. I had a very busy weekend with a performance on Friday, which was really fun. I was Columbia in the Rocky Horror Show Shadowcast.
Oh, cool.
It was really fun. Like, a Shadowcast, for people who are not into the Rocky Horror world, means that we play the movie, and at the same time people are sort of like lip syncing the roles in front of the movie with the purpose of going out into the audience and making it an immersive experience where we get people to dance the time warp and do the call and responses. So it's very fun.
Oh my god, that's amazing. I have to like divulge a thing, and Lisa, don't jump off the podcast. I've not watched the Rocky Horror Show. Oh no, she's gone silent. Oh no, they have gone silent.
I do have to say, it is a very weird movie.
Oh, good.
And it's a very weird theater production.
Yes, it is. It is. I think I've seen it when I was a child. I went, ooh, that's a bit too weird. And I think because of that memory stuck in my head, I haven't gone back and gone, maybe my views are wrong. I should go out and watch it. So
also, I'll be honest. If you were to ask me, is the Rocky Horror Picture Show the best movie ever made? I'd say, no, it's really, really weird, and a big part of it does not make sense to me. It's very strange, but it is really fun. It's a cult classic. I think if you were to ever see it, I would see it in theater where people around you are yelling at the people on stage, and it's just a very fun and chaotic experience.
If there's ever a time I can see it in a live environment like that, I will do that. Anywho, we weren't going to talk about that. And I'm sure I was going to get if I was going to get cancelled for anything, hope that would be it. Lisa, thank you very much for being here. I do this for everyone who has joined the podcast for the first time. I do two things. I go, one, how have we met? And what is your cosplay handle? Where does it come from? Let's do the cosplay handle. So Lisa of Lisa Art of 2 A's.
Yeah.
But can I just guess? No, you can tell me where that comes from. How did you come to that conclusion of your cosplay handle?
It's part of my government name. So my full Dutch name is Lisa van der Aert, which
Oh!
is and the last name is a farmer's name. It means from the soil, and Aert is Dutch for soil. And I removed the van der Paart and just kept the last bit. And a lot of people who don't speak Dutch assume that it's a play on artist, but it's not. It's honestly just my government name.
Oh, okay then. Can I quickly come in there? Please do not go and look for this person. They might have revealed their full name, but please do not go and stalk them or anything of that nature, please. I don't want that on my conscience. But
No, to be honest, I'm pretty like findable on the internet because my full name is also as the illustrator in all the XKCD videos, for example. It'd be like that.
Yeah.
It's partially because I'm an illustrator, my branding.
See, that's what I thought where the art come from. Sorry, I keep doing art. I'm actually scrunching my face. Art. I really am crunching my face whenever I say art. That's what I thought it was. That's based upon, or the artist in you when you do cosplay.
Yeah.
So things like that. Cool. Oh, every day's a school day. That's always good to know. And how do we know each other? So from my memory, we were introduced by a mutual friend.
Yes, we were.
Yes.
I was having drinks with our mutual friend Dan.
Yes.
And you joined, and it was really good fun.
Yeah. And yes, and then I think I wanted to get photos with you, but also I had a really dicky tummy when you saw me. And we said, oh, that's fine, don't worry. And then come October, you said, I've got something I want to be shot. Can we shoot together? I went, yes.
Yeah, because I really like your work, and I wanted to only bother you when I had a vision where I was like, okay, this is going to be really cool.
I mean, you could have bothered me if it wasn't cool in your mind, but I find all cosplays cool. So, yeah. Yes. So, yes. By the way, if anyone wants to book me for MCM London, April 27th is when my schedule goes out, just to put it out there for right now whilst I've got a chance. But yeah, that's how we know each other. And there's nothing more to that story, is there?
No, we had drinks. It was good fun, and after that, we became friends as well. Not just we didn't just have a mutual friends. I like to think we are friends now.
Yeah, well, definitely 100%. Because there was one time I messaged you, and I was watching this video on TikTok, and I was going, oh, this reminds me of a story that Lisa told me. Wait a minute, that voice sounds familiar.
And it was me.
It was you. And you were talking about the Monty Hall. Is it Monty Hall?
The Monty Hall problem.
Yes, which I only know about that through Mythbusters. So
nice.
So yes, but I like how you explained it with cartoon and images and things like that. And although the disturbing image of CJ's face in a cartoon form can never erase that memory out of my head. So
I'm very happy that I cursed you.
CJ, if you're by any chance listening to this, I love you, man. Ish. He'll find that fun. He'll find that funny.
Oh, absolutely.
Absolutely. You've already talked about the last 7 days. I always do a mental health check. Lisa, how are you generally? How are things with you?
I'll be real. I'm so happy last weekend is done. Last week, I was really okay, I've got a show on Friday, and then I was hosting a cosplay competition on Saturday, and those were just 2 really busy days. So it was okay, once those 2 days are done, I'm free, and now I am free.
Because to be fair, it took us a couple of days to get this podcast nailed down for a date. Because you gave me dates, and I went, "Oh, can we do it this date?" And you went, "Oh, wait a minute! I gave you the wrong positive negative inflection in the sentence."
That's how busy my mind was at the moment. Yeah, it was rehearsal here, preparation there. Show here.
Oh my Lord.
But yes, it's done.
It's done. After this podcast, you can just sit down and breathe and relax, and all is well with the world.
Even during the podcast, I'm just sitting and relaxing.
Oh, good to know. And hopefully this will be a nice fun I say fun podcast. So yeah, talking about the podcast, let's get into it. So I've titled it "What Goes into a Cosplay Competition." I could have titled this "Is Cosplay Competition Part of the Cosplay Community?" Oh, that won't stir the pot a little bit. Yes, ultimately this podcast was born out of that incident, and we will talk about it. I want to talk about it, and kind of dissect it a little bit as not just that one singular moment, but that whole interview itself. And if you don't know what I'm talking about, we'll explain it later. But first half of it, and I think I've done a podcast like this, but I want to revisit it anyway because I wonder if things have changed since I last talked about it, and get Lisa's point of view on how cosplay competition works, what's involved, and things like that. So, Lisa, you ready to go?
I am.
Oh, excellent. So, let's start with the easy one, okay? And you mentioned it recently, but what's your involvement in a cosplay competition? And what I mean by that is like, how is it? Is it close to your heart? Is it something that you just do? Do you dabble in? Is it something that means something to you? What does it mean to you?
Ooh, I really love cosplay competitions, and for me, that's like the construction part of it because I'm very passionate. I'm an artist by trade, but I also like costuming. I really just love making stuff. So the competitions are such a beautiful moment to meet other people who also love making stuff and who also love the theater part of cosplay. Because if you do the performance with the competition, that is theater, and it's just so much fun to really get into a role and to play on a stage and get the attention and be that diva for that 2 minutes. I'm
I
never beating the diva allegations. I don't care.
No, that's good. I love that. So, is it something that it plays on part of your personality or an aspect of something you wanted in your life? So, did you want to be part of the theater? Oh, sorry if I'm like digging up too far into your
No,
person, but do you know what I mean? Is that something that was an avenue that was closed off to you, and cosplay gave you that release, shall we say?
for me, it started mostly in like the art parts, like the making of things. And theater, I'm also a cabaret dancer, is something that I started doing mostly as an adult, not really as a child. But I have I dove. I went deep into like the performance community with that and love performing, and I love also combining that with cosplay because it makes so much sense to combine the joy of cabaret with all the costuming from cosplay.
That's great. I know a few of friends that have kind of crossed, cabaret burlesque dancing with cosplay.
Love.
Is there like, sorry to like veer off a little bit? Is there? Do you think there's much of crossover between the two, or is it just only a select few can make that work? Do you get what I'm saying?
Ooh, I think there is a lot of it. I mean, there's also a confirmation bias because I like it, I see it, and I look for it, so I see a lot of it. Also, for example, Slay Station, the event in London, is all cosplay and cabaret burlesque drag. Like they made a massive running event out of that,
Mm.
which I still want to see one day. I'm really excited to see them at MCM.
Mm.
Um, and at some point, they can't help but cross over a little bit. If you decide to be a character for a performance and you get the costume for the character,
Mm.
what are you doing but cosplay?
Yeah. No, that's great. Absolutely. I mean, again, don't want to like divert the conversation too much. Do you make cosplay that can work in both, or do you have separate outfits for the two hobbies?
I have separate ones
Mm.
because partially for cabaret, and if I do a burlesque with like a striptease element, for example, it needs to work well when you're performing and dancing, and you might want to take parts of it off, and that then shouldn't be like 5 layers of Velcro that go on the stage.
I mean, yes, that's probably the least cabaret aesthetic part. Is all those Velcros just peeling off one by one?
Yeah, I have used one of my armor sets for a drag performance, and I found out that that armor set is splits proof, which is magical.
What do you mean by split proof? As in,
That I can do the splits while
okay,
wearing
good. Right,
it.
that's what I thought it was. Right, okay.
Yeah.
Sorry, my Google decided to join in that conversation. Have you just heard that? It just asked, "Would you like to repeat that?" No, not really.
No, we're good.
We're good. Oh Lord. Okay then. No, I think that's something new I discovered about you today. So that's very interesting. I like that. How often do you like partake in competitions? Then is it something that you actively look for in every Comic Con you go to, or are you bit selective about which competitions you go to? Is it always the big major ones, or the local ones, or a bit of both?
It kind of depends both on the Comic Con and the costume. Um, so I recently joined the competition in Glasgow with my Elvira costume, which was a really wonderful experience. And that was
Mm,
partially because the Comic Con had a really nice competition with a performance element. And
yeah,
I was also really proud of that costume and wanted to take that moment to show it off.
yeah.
And sometimes, especially for MCM, I have costumes that wouldn't really fit the rules properly of like having to make enough yourself. So, like,
Mm,
not every costume I have is a competition style costume. For example, I have a Tali costume for which the bodysuits were just like, I bought them like that and modified them. And that doesn't really fit the making the big, all of it yourself part, I
mm.
feel. So it's like, I'm fine. I really like it. Not everything has to be in a competition. But on occasion, it's just a lot of fun to go through the experience and to show it off.
Mm. No, absolutely. I think I get that. I do get that. Um, what this, I think this is something that I don't quite understand from as because I'm a photographer. I'm not a cosplayer. What do you pick? So you're talking about it depends on the cosplay.
Hmm.
Oh, and stroke costume. Is it the costume that is the most intricate to you? Something that's like something that takes a lot to build, so you're striving for, or is it like a challenge for you to get that costume done for a competition, or maybe it's just a character you like and you just thought, sod it, I'll just put this into the competition if that makes sense.
Yeah, that's a really good question. And I'm realizing now that I should also mention that there's a lot of different types of competition.
Mm,
Like the type that I like to join is more of what we call a craftsmanship competition, where you are mainly judged on your craftsmanship.
yeah.
So the things you have made with your own two hands. There are also cosplay competitions where they don't judge you per se on like what you have made. It can be a bot costume, for example. If you go to a small local competition, it doesn't really matter if you made most of it yourself. It's mostly vibe based,
Mm,
and that in smaller competitions is totally fine. And I think that's partially community like building,
mm,
because like the small local con, you're not gonna flip seams and see whether it's made all perfect. You
mm.
have a catwalk and it's beautiful, and we pick a winner, which is really difficult,
Yeah.
but that too is has a place in the cosplay community.
Oh, well,
Well,
absolutely, absolutely. Sorry to like interrupt because I
no
think,
worries.
I think I don't know if this is known by my podcast listeners about my relationship to cosplay competitions because I deep down don't like cosplay competition because of that aspect. Because if it
Hmm.
was me running it, I would base it mainly 80-90% of that competition about making the costume, about
Yeah.
the craftsmanship of it. I think when I see it go on stage to do a little skit and things like that, I think, well, hang on. I think I like to think that most people can be okay on a stage. They can do a skit and things like that. And if that's a large proportion of it, well, I'd rather see that done by maybe the actors or I don't know. That's a viewpoint that's not shared by a lot of people. But do you get what I'm saying? It's
I get where you're coming from. I think, especially with craftsmanship, some people say that the hobby of making cosplay is different from the hobby of wearing cosplay. Like,
100% yes.
yeah,
No, carry
and
on.
I know a bunch of people who are extremely talented craftsmen, like do beautiful tailoring, but kind of dislike being in the spotlight and being on stage,
Mm,
so that they are less likely to join that part of the competition. Like that for them is the biggest push and the biggest struggle. Meanwhile, they're costuming like absolutely god tier, but just really big struggle to do that performance part.
yeah.
And of course, every person is just different.
Mm,
But then, from my point of view, I'm just wondering, like, oh wow, that's actually wild to me because this deserves to be highlighted.
mm. One,
And
yeah,
yeah, it's
100%. That's why I say I'd rather see a craftsman get more notoriety than the
hmm,
skit itself because I think hearing a cosplayer putting in 100 hours,
oh yeah,
over like I'm just picking an arbitrary number in the sky. Designing, sourcing, developing the techniques, making it together, made it fall apart, so they start again, things like that. Cry, tears and sweat and all that. And don't get me wrong. I know people are going to shoot on me when they said, "Oh no, the skit's as important as that." That's fair. You can have that opinion. I'm not saying you can't have that opinion. I'm just saying that for me, if I was running competition, that will be my level of like the level I aiming for is the craftsman level rather than the skit
Hmm.
itself. Excuse me. But I know that I've seen some skits that I've gone, oh, actually, that's not too bad. But I think the way that I've seen cosplay since I was when I first joined the cosplay community or the Comic Con, community. I think I'm built from, you had to make the costume yourself. You couldn't store
Yeah.
buy it. We're now moving to a different era now where you can store buy cosplays. You can ask a friend or get someone to commission a cosplay. So I
But
know that the attitudes have changed, but I think I'm still stuck in that era. That's all.
I think we both show our age with that because I went to when I went to my first Comic Con, I distinctly remember making my own like Sakura costume for Naruto. I was I think 16 at the time. I remember it not being the best costume with like kind of the wrong shade of pink. My like it was a little bit odd, but I was 16. I was really proud of myself. And
Yeah.
you would not be able to get that costume like easily by buying it. Especially in
Mm.
the Netherlands, I wouldn't be able to. And now like that is easily 15 years ago at least, no more.
Oh,
It's completely changed.
Sakura. Yeah, if you were talking about Sakura from Naruto, that's at least 20 years old. You can,
Yeah.
yeah. And I remember watching Naruto when I was in university, and that was in the early 2000s. So definitely over 20. It's over 20 years old.
Yeah.
Yeah, and like things weren't so easily bought. Um, I don't like to reveal this fact too often, so I'll just say it briefly, very quickly. When I made a cosplay over 20 years ago, it was a Batman Beyond suit. I had to go out and buy a lycra bodysuit, sew on the emblem on the thing, had to create the gauntlets, the ears for the thing.
And that's difficult.
I was dead proud of what I made. Yes, it looked
As you should
shonky.
be.
It looked shonky as hell. I don't care. I loved it. I loved wearing that costume the 3 times I wore it. Um,
But still.
yeah, and I was proud of that. And it's not often I see you, but I think actually I don't think I've seen many Batman Beyond bat suits that you can buy in the shop. So it's still a niche
There are
cosplay.
still like definitely some types of cosplay that you would not really easily be able to buy, if
Mm,
only because sometimes they need to be fit to your body so well that you can
yeah,
only really do it on commission or something like that. Like
yeah.
bodysuits are notoriously difficult
Oh,
anyway.
absolutely. I mean, if I was going to do it again now, I'd probably try to do it in a 3D printed way, but how I don't know. But I wouldn't make it look like the Iron Man suit, but
Hmm.
along those levels, if that makes sense. Anyway, we're not talking about my cosplay life because it doesn't exist. Shh.
Oh, here am I trying to get your secrets out of you.
No, you can't do that. You can't do that. Move along. Move along. Where we're talking about cosplay competition,
Yeah.
and how you enter them, things like that. I think we understand why you are, why you entered and things like that. But more importantly, I think it's how important is it to you, these competition? I mean, could you still enjoy a Comic Con without these competition? Do you think they have a value, these competition? Because
Ooh.
because they like, let's say the big one, either I'm assuming either MCM or MegaCon or Showmasters, or I'm trying to think the other one. No, I can't think of it, but they will have hundreds of people entering. You know,
Yes.
what's the point? Why put yourself through that? And we'll talk about a typical day of what a competition day looks like. But how important is it to you, these competitions?
There's a lot of different ways of looking at it. Like, how important is it? I'm first going to start with just like easy, just away from the big competitions. Like, because I was at the very small con this weekend. Um, so that was a Northeast Con. It's called Nerdfest. It's really local, small. You don't have a lot of big costumes. And if they are big, they are really like lovingly homemade. That's a type of cosplay competition where people come to your table on the day to sign their name. And then we have like a little catwalk moment and a judge. And that competition is so very much a community competition where we have slowly grown a lot of the cosplay community in the Northeast, partially at that competition, from talking to people about costumes and giving people a platform for it. And that's been really lovely, especially because like I love people, I love talking to people, and I've also seen a lot of people grow. So we've been hosting that cosplay competition for a few years now. It's been
Mm,
going really fast. I think it's partially because the organizer there is just really happy that he doesn't have to do it. So we are his favorite princesses as long as,
Yeah.
you know what I mean. We will take care of everything. We have the sign up sheets. We will announce everything. He does not have to worry about the competition. He just gives us nice prizes, and that's all he has to do. So we are his favorite princesses. And we love being his favorite princesses. But there's a bunch of cosplayers that I've
Mm,
seen for like the past years, 4 years or something. And they're like teenagers. So I saw them like really young, just starting out, and now becoming really, really good costumers. And
mm.
that's so wonderful. And every time I see someone that I saw the previous time but getting better and more confident, that's that's when I'm happiest that we keep doing this.
Absolutely. There'll be a different question that kind of follow on to that, but I want to ask: do you see that as a way then to like encourage both the younger generation and probably the current generation of cosplayers to always improve themselves and always better themselves because of these competitions?
Partially, yeah. And I see when I look at people, I often also notice that their reference for improving often also seems to be themselves,
Mm,
which is the best way to do it because you cannot really look at a winner, a completely different person in a different costume, and say, "I want to be better than you," because you really don't really know their process. But you
mm,
do know how much you struggled the last time and how much easier it's getting for you in the future, or like how much easier it is for you to build your vision. But absolutely. And I also love it when people come to us and ask questions, for example, about how to build a wig, and then next time
mm.
show me the wig they made. And that's part of like community building is for me, for small cons, why we have those competitions.
No, that's brilliant. That's brilliant. I love that. Does it take a certain personality or certain aspect of a person to participate? Is it should everyone enter, or do you think only? I'm not saying we should limit it, but do you think? I'm trying to put this very politely, so I've got to choose my words very carefully. Is there a demographic that should always, or should think about going for these cosplay competitions?
So currently, just while talking about the very small ones, the local ones,
Mm,
if people want to, they should. Sometimes I see someone in an absolutely gorgeous costume, but they would rather not queue up, have all these people looking at them at once, and then have all that attention, and they don't want to.
mm,
They absolutely should not.
mm,
Is someone's cosplay just a t-shirt with a Spider-Man logo on it and they want to join at such a small con? I'm like, yes, if this makes you happy, if this makes you feel confident. I don't know how much of a step it was for someone today to wear their nerdy t-shirt, or how scared they were to look a little bit nerdy or a little bit strange in
mm,
public, and how big of a step that was. So yeah, if you want to join, you should join. This is
mm.
specifically in the small con where the purpose of it is mostly community and building confidence.
That's a fascinating thing to say. I love that, and obviously I know this as well. But it's great to hear it from someone else who shares that same that's opinion of this. Even though, as I said, I'm not interested in cosplay competition, but I can see its value in it. I
Hmm.
really do. And like I said, it's not for me, but you might yourself enjoy cosplay competition. You go either
Yeah.
maybe you're saying, "Oh, I want to prove myself that I can make this costume," or "I have stage fright, but I want to conquer that by going on stage with my Spider-Man t-shirt."
Yeah.
That's I get this different level, and 100%. That's everyone will get something different from these type of competition. I totally
I
get that.
do think it's different for like bigger competitions, especially when you have like rules for like
Mm,
who should and shouldn't join. And those rules are generally very specific. For example, how much of it needs to be homemade,
mm,
or like what they want you to confirm to. I'm not sure if that's the word, but like what they expect from someone who joins that competition,
mm,
especially if it's a craftsmanship competition, they will usually be really explicit with like, this is sort of like what
mm.
we expect from you and how much you've done yourself.
Yeah, yeah,
And that level of having to do at least generally it's 60 or 70% yourself leads to really high
yeah.
quality cosplays.
Absolutely. And let's start talking about not. I was going to say the cosplay competition day itself. We'll talk
Yeah.
about that, but in a sense that started 6 months ago. So let's kind of
Hmm.
let's start from 6 months ago from like saying applying for it. I'm assuming the first rule of cosplay competition is to read the rules.
Yes. Um, You would think that the first thing people do is read the rules. I saw a reel. I can't remember who put it out, but that was a person who hosted a lot of cosplay competition and often struggles not to get hit by people's props on the stage. And that reminded me of like cosplay rules of like, please don't make props that are bigger than your own body. Trust us, that is a bad idea.
Oh, really? I've never heard that one.
So usually they give like, don't make a prop that's bigger than 1.5 meter, 2 meter, but like the shorthand for it is generally like just don't make a prop that is bigger than their own body length for your own management.
Ah, interesting. Very interesting. And have you both, as a competitor and a judge, have you seen people fall foul of like not reading the rules properly?
I haven't, I think, but maybe I also haven't been paying enough attention in that sense. Um, Sometimes I do worry that some like bats that I see might be actual bats, but you know what? I'm not gonna test them on it. I'm not gonna try it.
Yeah,
So
yeah.
I haven't experienced anyone like explicitly like ignoring rules or something like that.
Yeah, yeah. No, there will be instances where people would probably thought they read it or they got confused from one set of rules to
Yeah.
another competition. I think I remember a story years and years ago. Someone got very pissy about not winning because they misunderstood the rules, and I'm sure it's because possibly they just misread the rules or thought it was a generic competition, but because they didn't got it themselves to actually read the rules to make sure they fell foul of the rules
Mm.
and things like that. So no, it's all I always find it fascinating when people kind of like get caught up with the rules and things like that. Um, I'm assuming another part of the rule set is to keep a journal of like how the progress is going. I mean,
Yes.
obviously, it's just proof to say you made the costume, but is there any other validity to why judges want to see that portfolio of how you created that cosplay?
Well, yeah. So it's part indeed the proof that you actually made it yourself. And it's also part, you cannot see all the work that a cosplayer had put into something when they are wearing the actual physical costume. And often the build book shows things like how they made the structure underneath and how they considered attaching the armor pieces, for example, or just the beautiful thing of like, oh, this is the wig base I started with, and this is what it turned into is very powerful and helps you realize as a judge, oh, wow, this is a lot of work. And that's very valuable in a build book. But yeah, again, especially pieces where you show things that you can't really see when you're wearing it or that aren't really appreciated when you're wearing it, like considering how you attach your armor pieces to your clothing underneath. If you did that in a really smart way, that can be tricky to show while you're wearing it. And something that I really and Glasgow, the judges mentioned that from my build book, they saw that I showed some of the process of making a corset for that costume, and they liked seeing that I did corsetry because they
Hmm.
didn't really realize like, oh, this is really self-made. Heck, and that was really nice of them that they pointed that out.
No, that's good. That's good. Can I? Stupid question to ask: Is the outside of no? Is sorry. Is the inside of the cosplay is as important as the outside of the cosplay? I.e., do you need to put lining in, make sure the stitching on the inside is as good as the stitching on the outside, etc., etc., etc.
Um, yes and no. Lining makes it that your costume is more structurally more sound. So the outside will look better if you put attention on the inside. So like if you have a nice coat and it has lining, it's a sturdier coat and it will move better and it will behave like a more luxurious coat. No, I say occasionally I have costumes where the inside of the garment is a war zone, and that's nobody business but mine and God.
Sorry, I just choked and laughed at the same time. I heard that. I had to mute myself because I was. Oh my god! You caught me off by surprise. That was brilliant. So, to the deity in the sky and yourself, you're happy that if the mess that looks as it is, no one else gets to see it. Cool.
No, it's nobody's business. But at the same time, like often the attention you pay to the inside will eventually show to the outside. Like I found out that a lot of people line their foam armor with felt on the inside,
Hmm.
which means that it's more stable in the long run and has more like wear. You can get more wear out of it.
Yeah.
And it means that you don't have ugly seams on the inside, which is really nice.
Hmm.
but I really appreciate more that it gives more solid structure and lets you wear something longer.
Yeah.
Because I like cosplays that you can wear several times over. They should be
Interesting.
worn several times.
100%. I don't like this fast cosplay fashion that I'm seeing.
No.
It's kind of I feel like it has slowed down, but it's still there, and it can be dominant. But anyway, that's another topic. I think I've done that topic actually. But anyway, neither here nor there. Before we get to the actual date itself, is there anything else I should consider that you like to share about I call it the 6-month process. It could be longer,
Yeah.
but the process between you entering and the date itself, is there anything else you should consider when you're building your cosplay and think about the competition?
So with the building the cosplay and thinking about the competition in that 6-month process, indeed you have the big part of like thinking of what you're doing anyway. And so for me, the build book is kind of easy because I really like posting photos of my process on Instagram anyway. So by the time I'm done, I go back through my Instagram like highlights and I just download all those photos and those become like a collage for my build book. This is partially because I really like sharing things, but not everyone works the same way. For me, that's a really nice way to make sure I track what I'm actually doing. And often when I have a problem, people will actually slide into my DMs and tell me how to solve it, which I love. I love nosy people.
I mean, that's one way to like get the community involved. Yeah, that's interesting. That's good. Interesting. Let's get to the date itself. I think one question I think I have asked before, but I'll ask it again. Do you have to consider the judges that that's viewing you? Do you take in consideration, like, for example, if you know that one of the judges is more predominantly armor build, and one of the other judges may be fabric build, do you have to change your mindset a little bit? Do you think that, oh, I'm going to get low scores from that one, but this one may give me high scores, so it balance it out? Am I like focusing too much? Am I seeing things that don't really exist?
So I have never considered that going into a competition, but that doesn't mean others don't. So by the time the judges are announced, you've generally made the biggest part of your cosplay anyway. So it's not like you would choose a different costume because of the judges. But I can imagine that you would pose your process to a different judge in the room. However, the judge who is most knowledgeable about whatever you've done will talk to you most anyway because they will have the questions. So I think you will automatically focus on the right person because they will like naturally interact with you because they know what to look for and what to ask about.
Yeah. Okay, that's interesting. Cool. The other thing I want to know is basically because I've never been through this process. I've heard bits and bobs from a photography point of view, and I'll give my
Would
side
you
of it.
like me to talk you through the process of a day?
Yes, that's what's but yes,
Yeah.
please. That's the bit I was about to get to next.
Yeah.
Because I have a view myself, but that's from a very selfish point of view. But please tell me, like, let's say 9 a.m. Saturday of MCM London, you've entered, you've got your book. Can you spend your time with your friends, or do you have to be specifically at a certain place at a certain time? Do you get time to like breathe? Go on, tell me.
So my previous competition was in Glasgow, and that was more chill to my personal experience than MCM, but that's based purely, I think, on the size of the event because Glasgow was smaller. So I found MCM, the cosplay competition, really intense. Like in my experience, it was very intense. So indeed, like early in the morning, like 9, I was getting into costume. You don't really have to have all your makeup done by the prejudging, but I do like to do that. I want to be in like full feeling myself, like the best version of myself. I remember my prejudging slot being between like 1 or 2 something. It was like right after lunch. And that for me meant that I didn't want to plan anything between the half an hour before and the half an hour after. The half an hour before, because I just assume it takes me 20 minutes to get anywhere in MCM.
Oh, yeah.
Like, that's why I also tend to be stupid early at photography appointments because I just assume it's going to take me 20 minutes. And often I am surprised that it's not that long. But more than often, it actually does take you 20 minutes.
Yeah.
So, like,
better be early. Yeah, better be early than late.
Yeah, because that's partly also how you respect other people's time.
Yes.
So the morning, I'm often like a bit nervous. Like I wouldn't want to do too many other things because I'm like, okay, I have to perform. And I say perform, but it's a 3-minute judging slot at MCM,
Mm.
which means that you have to do this head, shoulders, knees, and toes game really fast. To talk about.
So I love that image in my head. Head, shoulders, knees and toes.
Knees and toes.
Yeah.
It's so when during a judging slot, I like to go from top to bottom just because that gives me some sort of structure.
Yeah.
So like, okay, this is how I made the top, and then slowly go to the bottom. And then 3 minutes is so short that you really like, this went this way. Yep, very fast. And it's pretty like stressful. The judges that I had that time at MCM were so nice, and they really seemed to enjoy talking about making things. So it was a really nice experience. It was just like, I was just nervous, which I think is normal. Yeah, if you have time after your head, shoulders, knees, and toes moment, then they usually ask questions like about your favorite parts, and they like to ask questions like, okay, what went wrong? Is there something you fixed? Just to get a feel of how you are as a creator as well. But yeah, 3 minutes is so short that you often don't have that much time.
How honest should you be when they say what went wrong?
I don't see a reason not to be honest, because something going horribly wrong and you solving that is just something that's incredible. So like sometimes you plan something really well and things don't really go wrong. That is really good. And sometimes you completely misestimate a part of your costume and you just bin a massive part of it and redo it. That also is really impressive, because then that meant you kept going and that you did something new, you made a new plan. And both of those experiences are very valuable and really impressive.
No, that's good. Like I said, it's. I think sometimes I worry about, should I reveal too much information, things like that. So no, it's good to know. It's good to know. So here's my, not say issue. Here's my experience when it comes to anyone I encounter who enters in a cosplay competition. So they tell me their lineup and they say, I'm actually doing this cosplay on this hour. Oh my God, that's amazing. Can I try to fit you in? Can I get you in my schedule and things like that? And they say the immortal words, oh no, I'm in a cosplay competition. And it just, and it blocks the whole day out for them. But hearing you say that, I'm not saying I didn't know, but I understand even more, because it's either you don't want to ruin the cosplay before you get to judges, you don't know where you're going to be. Like I said, you don't, the time to get
Sorry,
from.
I keep interrupting you.
Oh no, that's fine. I'll just keep motoring on. Don't you worry. But like, if you got to be somewhere, you got to get through the crowds and all that. You know, it makes more and more sense now. You know, and I can imagine you're like got nervous energy in yourself. You know, things like that. So yeah,
it's also, you often hear about your prejudging slot relatively late. So I can't actually exactly remember how early I heard about it, but it's not unusual to hear that like 2 weeks or so in advance. And usually with photography, you like to make your schedule a little bit earlier, and it can be really annoying. And then especially at MCM, you usually start gathering for the actual showcase moment easily an hour in advance before you're actually on the stage, because it's just so many people to manage that's the only way they actually are able to get everyone on that stage and off. It's a massive production.
Oh, absolutely. And that's what I'm saying. It's like, to get through, like I said, I'm taking an arbitrary number of 100 people. They've got to get through that quickly as possible. As much as everyone, they would love to give half an hour, you know, to go through the costume properly, like check the seams and all that. They can't. They really can't do that.
Oh no.
And I totally understand that. So yeah.
At MCM, not everyone who gets on the stage at the cosplay competition bit or the cosplay masquerade was also in the judging part. So I'm never really sure how many people actually have been judged and how many people go on the stage because they want to show off. When you sign up for the cosplay masquerade, you can select whether you want to be judged to be part of the competition or whether you want to just do the catwalk and not be judged.
Oh, interesting. That's new.
Yeah, I think that's really nice, because I think a lot of people indeed want to have that experience of being on the stage and showing off without the massive stress of being judged, because like that is kind of stressful.
Oh, I get that. That's really interesting. I like that. I do really like that. That's interesting. Because as I said, because I find, I can't remember if I did say this here or in the green room, but I find the judging such an arbitrary decision because, like you said, it depends on the judges who you have, and they may have an unknown bias. So
Oh yeah.
therefore, you don't know if you and me could pick a different winner. We could pick different winners for any
And both of
competition.
those decisions, I think, would be equally valid.
Exactly. So who's right and who's wrong? You can't say that, and
Yeah.
things like that.
That's one of the reasons that the cosplay competition we host locally for the small con, we try to get different guest judges every time now, because we've been doing the judges a few times and we're like, okay, we need to get different people to look at this because
Yeah.
we need to have different eyes, different opinions, and some variety.
Yeah.
And they may select a different winner, which is great because I want a more diverse group of people to win.
100%. It sounds absolutely fantastic. How, assuming you have both been a winner and not been a winner.
Yes, that's correct.
Got to be very careful how I say that. But what I'm trying to say is that, is it disappointing not to win? Or do you get, or does it spur you on to like keep going?
When I did the MCM competition and a few
Mm.
other competitions, I looked around me at how insanely good everyone was around me, and I already had this feeling of like, I'm not gonna be the winner. I really don't think I will be, but wow, isn't it cool to be surrounded by these people?
Yeah.
Because the joy for me in that sense was like being part of that group of people that are all like so good at what you're doing and they looked all really good. So I was just kind of happy to be there.
That's
And
good.
that might be just me.
No, that's right. I was going to say it's really good that you have that attitude. That actually, again, I don't want to put words in your mouth, but like there's a realization of going, oh, actually, there's a lot. I can see that if I don't get to win, there's actually more worthy winners out there.
Oh
But
yeah.
but you were able to still enjoy the day and all that.
And I think you also shouldn't join a competition if you are not ready to lose it.
Yeah.
I think especially like cosplay is like, it's an art competition, and
Yeah.
any art competition in that sense is very objective. Like as you said,
Yeah.
different judges may choose a different winner. It's sometimes like a roll of the dice. And that's, you just have to accept that.
Absolutely.
Maybe I feel that I was better than the winner, but I don't know her process or their process. Who knows what they've done that I'm just unaware of, and it's not my place to then say, well, actually, I've been robbed. Like, no.
No, I totally understand that. Through my other photography brand, I sometimes put my name for a photography competition. I think 2024, I looked at the nominees and I went, oh, just to be nominated within that crowd, I was happy. The year that I won, I went, if I still lost, I'll still be happy because I think there were some really good candidates in that field, and so I can really sympathize with that notion of like going, oh, if I don't win, actually, it's not too bad.
It's like you look around and you're like, if these people are my contemporaries right now, I feel like a winner.
Exactly. Yes, I totally understand that.
I'm gonna go to an absolute sidebar, but it reminds me of like a very formative moment that I had at a conference a few years ago. So I was at because my job is a science illustrator, I was at a conference for science influencers. That's a thing.
Okay, yeah.
And the title of the panel was "What is success and how do we measure success for ourselves?" Which is really difficult to do as like a freelancer, as like a content creator. Like, how do you say, actually, I think I am successful? And there were really big people at that table. And I was just like, how am I fitting in with these people? And almost everyone was just like, I feel like I don't belong here. Like the most massive people who I really looked up to looked at us all and said, why am I here? You guys are all so much better than I am. I was like, how dare you say that? You're a star. And almost everyone had that. And it was very much like, for me, my measurement of success at this moment in time is that we are having this conversation and that we are all currently each other's equal. And that to me is so valuable.
Yeah.
And that really stuck with me very strong.
No, that's absolutely brilliant. I love that. I'm just going to move the conversation on a little bit.
Yes.
And just because there's a lot more we want to get through, because there's definitely one huge part we want to talk about, and that's going to dominate the conversation a little bit as well. But here's the bridging question that will link the two halves together. Is cosplay competition part of the cosplay community?
So the competitors are part of the cosplay community. The judges are part of the cosplay community. Something that is difficult is that the people who organize it aren't always, so they don't know what the community needs.
Mm.
I see. You see how I put that in?
Yeah, no,
Like,
that's fine. That's absolutely fine because, like I said, from my point of view, as I said, if I want to shoot with someone, but they're in the cosplay competition, the day's gone. I can't. I will never see
yeah.
them. I will never find the time to get shoot with them unless they plan to wear it either another day or another Comic Con. You know,
Yes.
I find the winner's an arbitrary decision, which I may not agree with, but I'm basing on different criteria. I understand that. So, you know, that's my. But it's no less part of the cosmic community because I do recognize all the things
Yeah.
that you said about it. I went, there's nothing about that I disagree with. I totally agree with it and all that. And just so to bridge the conversation between what we've just said to the next part now. So you might have seen something on the internet a couple of weeks ago. Someone might have taken a phrase out of a YouTube interview between a YouTuber called Inkwell and a renowned cosplayer called Stella Chu. I'm going to get this title correct before I speak further. The podcast itself, which I find it a bit, I don't want to say weird, but the title of it is called "Is Cosplay Sustainable as a Career?" Okay, now the question itself was, is cosplay competition, I think it was like, is it viable as a sustainable career? Stella Chu's response was, no, cosplay competition is a waste of time. And everyone's clipped that and put it onto the internet. They put the sound of that with people doing cosplay competition. They've done some duets with it or some stitches in, follow up to that, and a lot of those things are not they are very, very, very valid opinions based on the phrase no. Stella Chu saying no, cosplay competition is not part of the cosplay competition community, right?
Yeah.
So I'm going to be very open and but hopefully I can stay impartial and unbiased. So I have met Stella Chu. I am a fan of her work. I have met her and gotten a great conversation out of her. I think the time that I saw her, she was fun. She was funny. I think her cosplays were both quirky, funny, interesting, a little out there, and all that. So when I heard that she was in this embroiled controversy, I went, "What? This is not the Stella Chu I know." And seeing the cold light of day of that clip of that one, those 10 words being clipped out and ran across the internet, I went, oh, this is bad. God, this is not the Stella Chu that I know. And I just got really disheartened by it. But you can't disagree. You can't, what's the word? You can't disagree with the community going, oh my God, Stella Chu's done bad. It's like, in the cold light of day, what she said is pretty bad. It's pretty damning.
Yeah,
Lisa,
it's very clumsy.
yeah, very good. You've seen the clip as well, haven't you? This is how we
Yeah.
are doing this podcast itself. What was your initial reaction to that clipped part? We'll do that bit first.
So initially when I saw that clipped part, I was very much just like, okay, this must be very out of context because this doesn't sound right. This doesn't sound like something someone would say as a way to value or devalue cosplay competitions in a genuine way, intending to like say something negative about the cosplay community. I was really thinking like this must be taken wildly out of context and now memed to filth as the internet does. So I was immediately curious to see what the actual context of that phrase was.
Yes. So did you like immediately go looking for it? This Inkwell YouTube video.
It honestly took me a while to figure out that it was originally from a YouTube video anyway, because as it goes with the internet, you first see the first thing I saw was people making generic complaints about cosplay competition or generic comments and talking about their experience. Like, well, why are people talking about cosplay competitions now? Then I finally saw people talking about Stella Chu, and only then I saw a comment somewhere like, oh, so from this YouTube. So it took me quite a while to do some like digital archaeology to figure out what the original YouTube video was. And I think that on its own is already pretty problematic because I saw all these opinions before I could figure out what the original source was.
Absolutely. So I imagine you with the Indiana Jones hat, leather jacket, the whip,
Oh yeah.
as a cosplay, as a digital archaeologist, just trying to find this clip.
Yeah, where is this set and what did she say beforehand and what did she say afterward?
Yeah, no, absolutely. So I've watched the video only today. I don't know when you watched it. So
Last week.
Last week, cool, excellent. So as I mentioned, let me just bring it up again. So as I said, the title of the video is cosplay sustainable as a career? Hearing that title and we'll just take that one concept clip in isolation. Has your view changed? Does it make sense, or do you think people still need to watch the whole video to get a bigger
I
understanding?
think already knowing the title puts things into perspective that it was not a conversation about the value of cosplay competition, but this was a conversation about money. And
Yes.
joining cosplay competitions is not a way to make money and it shouldn't be.
Yeah, because the example that Stella gives straight afterwards was that, so like, as I mentioned, you are one whole day out of Comic-Con if you're in this competition. You can't do,
Yes.
you really can't do anything else. Right, you can maybe record 1 or 2 videos, but you'll want to get your mind set, I'm assuming set and ready for the judging and then going on stage, okay? Her example was that, well, because your whole day is out, someone else who's not in that competition can go to different creators, content creators, and I think I'll use that word quite a lot, content creators, around Comic-Con, create videos, dance routines or skits, or creating original content, create 50 of those, and that will generate money more than going to a cosplay competition. Because the way she was saying is that essentially only 1 to 3 people can win a prize, either an actual prize itself or monetary prize.
Yeah, or the acknowledgement. Yeah, you're completely correct. Out of those many people, only 3 of them will get the acknowledgement and the gold or silver.
Exactly. Whereas if you are a content creator and that is your either part-time or full-time outlet, that is where your gold mine is.
Yeah.
And this is where I am now with the cosplay community. It really saddens me to hear within that context, with that video title, that's the viewpoint of Stella Chu, because it's now moved my opinion on her from a cosplayer to a businessman.
But she is a businessman.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I should say business person, sorry. Business
Yeah,
person.
She is. Once you are a freelancer as an artist, your mindset has to become that you think about business a lot. And to be fair, this conversation was about business, so she will have been wearing her business brain.
Absolutely. So,
but yeah, it's not just for her, of course. Like, her income is dependent on the amount of videos she will make, and the day you are in cosplay is your highlight day, and you only have so many hours that you in that costume and so many hours that you can make those videos of before you have to take it all off again. So that's like prime time if you are a cosplay content creator, and you lose all that prime time when you're in a competition.
100%. It's like the Friday of MCM October we shot you have to remind me, the Mass Effect game.
Tali.
Thank you very much, Tyler. I've seen you create from that one day multiple videos with different content creators, stroke cosplayers. In that day, you're trying to maximize that costume, recording videos where you can, and also like shooting photos with different photographers with different ideas or mood boards that you want to shoot.
To be fair, that's partially because I have the entire day and I have a bunch of friends who do the same thing. And because I have that day, I can use it the best I can. But indeed, if I were in a competition or having different things to do, I would not have.
That's what I'm saying, yes, because that's the difference between being in a competition, not be able to do that, and not in a competition, but able to do that. That's what I'm saying. I found, so let's talk. So we both watched it in full because I genuinely wanted to make sure that, was I missing anything from this interview? Was there something in it that I thought you know, am I missing something? Have I misunderstood Stella Chu? Is my opinion that switched going to go back to that? Oh, I respect her as a cosplayer, or is my now view of her more? She's a business person now, and I watched the whole video today, as I said.
Mm-hmm.
You watched it last week, and I'll let me get my 2 cents in first.
Mm-hmm.
I don't think my opinion, or my new opinion of her, has changed, but I think I respect her more for it. But I think her original thing that she said out was a bit clumsy. Now, just to say, the bit that she said, cosplay is not part of, cosplay competition is not part of the cosplay community, that's now been edited out of the YouTube clip, so you can't find that, but you can find it elsewhere on the internet.
Yeah, I saw a clip of that specific bit on Threads.
Yeah.
Interestingly enough, again, I saw that clipped bit on Threads before I saw the actual video.
Yeah.
So that also kind of frustrates me that I'm quite sure a lot of people will have seen that clipped bit before the actual comic book, but that's neither here nor there.
Yeah, and I don't think that helped clipping that out from the main video, because that sounds like the interviewee is trying to protect Stella in a way, because it's her words, it's not their words that they need protecting, but it's neither here nor there. I did watch the whole thing, and I did feel a bit, I wouldn't say scripted, but it felt like there were key points he was trying to get, but didn't add different questions in between the main points.
Yeah.
So, give you an example about this podcast. I gave Lisa a set of questions that I might be talking about, but I did say, don't worry, there are more questions that I will hear from what you're saying and dive deeper, into that, so that one, obviously it busts out the podcast, but you can't create your question list without hearing what they are saying to then make it so that the interview is actually following the narrative rather than just going, cool, that's great, next question, cool, that was great, next question, things like that. It felt like they would. I don't know who came up with the questions. I don't know if Stella said, can I be asked these questions only, or the interviewee wasn't too sure about cosplay, because the interviewee themselves wasn't real. They did say they weren't a cosplayer per se. They have one costume, but they're not. They wouldn't consider.
I think they don't consider themselves a cosplayer in the sense that they make their income as an artist and not as a cosplayer. So I can imagine in this context that he would say like, okay, I'm not a cosplayer because this is not my business income, and that's our topic.
Yeah, exactly. And yeah, so watching that from start to finish, about actually watching it as someone trying to, I think if I put it this way, if someone said to me, oh, Eddie, I need to make cosplay work for me to generate money, what would you advise? I kind of actually would point them to that video.
Yeah, I agree.
Because there was a lot of things said in that about the monetization about cosplay, especially within the last 5 years, that was said in that video, has changed so much, and I agree with. So, okay, let's bring it back to the competition and all that. I think one line that was said, which I know might frustrate a lot of people, but they said, out of cosplay competitions, who's won and become famous from it? And I don't know, but I will admit, like I said, I don't follow cosplay competitions, so I generally don't know anyway. I can probably name maybe one who has won a UK competition and represented UK in the World Cosplay Summit, but I'm friends with them beforehand, so I don't think that really counts.
I think there's also a nuance to this point of just like, I know a few people who are like really big who also won competitions, but often they were already pretty well known before they won the competition.
Yeah.
And me already following them online is also how I found out that they won the competition. I think where we was trying to go is like, you don't win a competition and immediately become famous because you won the competition.
Yeah, and even before, I think they took the 5-year timeline because of COVID. So let's take it before COVID. I can't even think anyone who won a competition then had, became famous from that. I could be wrong. Again, hands up in the air. I'm not saying that's a definitive answer. I'm just saying from my point of view, I can't think of anyone who's won a competition and then became famous. I think it's your timeline of like, I know someone got good, then entered the competition, and then got more famous, shall we say, or for
Yeah.
more notoriety. Um,
I think one of the problems is that sometimes I would see clips of competition and it would look really, really cool, but then I wouldn't either would be luckily from the person who actually posted it, but sometimes it's a compilation posted by someone else,
yeah.
and I have no idea who it was. So,
Mm,
sidebar, it looked like DreamHack, the competition, actually had people's like Instagram handle massively in the back. So now every time I see a photo or a video from the
mm.
DreamHack cosplay competition, I can immediately follow them because it has the name really big in the background. And I think that's really nice.
And that's amazing. That's great. I think, but was DreamHack live streamed, or was it like uploaded later in the day in the week, or?
I don't know. I've only seen clips on Instagram and TikTok afterwards. I cannot
Ah,
recall if it was live streams. I'm not sure.
no, that's fine. And again, this is the problem. The only one I know I think is live stream is the World Cosplay Summit. Again, I
Hmm.
am probably am wrong. I'm sure there's a lot more, but this is what Stella's saying, that these events are not widely available, and if it probably is,
Yeah.
maybe behind a paid wall, maybe, or it's very hard to get to. It's not easy accessible. So
Yeah.
that comment of like cosplay competition to become a career point, I do agree with it. I don't think it's as easy or is as it's as it knocks one into the other that easily. I think you do have to work damn hard at it.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. Um, there's loads of things in that video, and I will encourage people to watch that video with an open mind, with the title of that of that YouTube clip, YouTube video as it is, rather than looking for that moment. I will admit, when I got to that moment, I really did start focusing a little bit more.
Yeah.
You know, I did kind of get a little angry by it already. Um, but yeah, but another thing that I think we both kind of talked about, and I really sympathized with it, was the when she mentioned about burnout. And
Yeah.
do you want?
In the beginning of that video,
Yeah,
she
go.
mentions like she says out loud that she feels like she's experiencing like creative burnout. And I can only imagine like how difficult that is when you are a creative person who is super busy. She's clearly super busy, and you have a team that you need to support because she mentions that she has assistants, she has editors. And when you have all these people working for you, you need to pay their salary. She mentioned, I think, that her husband does a lot of editing for her. So
Yeah.
she doesn't even just support herself, but also her husband of that income.
Mm-hmm.
And that means she must keep making those videos because otherwise she doesn't have income.
100%. My parents used to own a takeaway, and
Hmm.
I know from first hand, whenever we didn't open the takeaway, essentially we've lost income.
Yeah.
You know, when we don't have a good day of business, we've lost income. If we
Hmm.
ever took a trip away from the takeaway for 2 weeks, we lost income. So,
Yeah, being a
yeah.
business owner like that is extraordinarily stressful. And I
Mm,
think I've been through the whole journey of like becoming a freelance artist, and I recognize a lot of the things she says from my like struggle of getting a livable income as an artist. Now,
mm,
luckily, I'm full-time employed by an animation studio, so I'm very blessed in that sense. It's a rare for an illustrator to have full-time employment.
mm.
But I didn't have that for the longest time. And this whole conversation of like different income streams and trying to make sure you actually make a living, like I actually agreed with a lot what she said. And maybe also with the background, maybe a bit of a negative point of view of like, yes, this is really, really difficult.
Hmm.
And I don't think enough people realize how exceptionally difficult it is to make a living in a creative career.
100%, absolutely. I mean, she talks about how, oh, you got to get sponsorships or be aligned with this either game studio, or when a game gets released, you may get called up to get asked to do a costume for it. But she mentions the compensation for it isn't that much. It's not like, oh, I get a 5-10 grand pay deal out of this. It's probably like
Yeah.
it's probably like, we'll pay for the materials, give us some content, and a little bit of extra money, but that's it really. That's not going to sustain you from week to week, year to year, week to week, month to month, year to
Yeah.
year, that
I
type of
mean,
thing.
I think we also need to always keep into account. It's like she is a full-time content creator, but the majority of like creatives, like photographers, artists, costumers, that's like a part-time job,
Mm.
which you probably see a lot in the photography community as
Oh
well.
god, yeah.
Yeah, and that's indeed because like when you have a certain size, a certain following, which is something that Stella Chu also mentions, like once she hit 1 million on TikTok, she was able to charge different rates because then you have a different type of rate for content you put out, because I'm going to be specific now, because I'm in the content creator community from being a YouTuber.
Yeah.
Usually you charge for certain types of videos. So often people want you to make 1 or 2 reels, and they will dictate the length that reel needs to be,
Mm.
or like a long format. Often like content creators have certain packages sort of that are available, but it's a bit of a funny game. Like sometimes someone comes to you and says, okay, our budget is XYZ and we want this. And then you have this, of course, this budgeting game of like, what can you get out of them?
Hmm.
But yeah, indeed, you're completely correct. If you, it's difficult to get and the costs of the labor and the value of your time out of that production.
Mm. Oh, 100%. And this is why a lot of people, when they ask me, "Oh, Eddie, why have you not why have you not taken your photography full time? Why have you not made this your full time career?" Because I know the amount of work that needs to be put in is not the work I'm willing to put in.
Oh
Stella's
yeah.
Stella's willing to put in the time and the effort. Doesn't mean she's. I'm not saying she's not happy or is happy, but the burnout is a contributing factor to
Oh
it,
yeah.
and I do not want that. But even saying that, I have a day job. I have 2 photography brands that I'm trying to create content for. Sometimes I try to find a day to do TikTok videos. I'm only doing it trying to release a video once a week. Even that's too much for me. And I'm feeling that burnout as a minor content creator who's not making money, you know.
So I think you're a pretty big content creator, but that's an aside.
Thank you.
No, but I mean that in a genuine way. Like you are a pretty big person in the United Kingdom cosplay community.
Mm.
Like people know you. It's a small community, that's true, but there's a lot of cosplayers who never really create a cosplay Instagram. I think like if we talk about who is a big creator, I think having a cosplay Instagram with no more than 10 followers makes you a bigger creator in the sense as a cosplayer than the majority of people who do cosplay, because I believe most of the people who cosplay do it once as a gimmick, think it's really excited,
Yeah.
and then never do it again.
Oh,
So
absolutely. And like I said, I'm not trying to blame COVID, but there was a big boom when COVID happened and people had to create content at home, and they
yeah,
kind of saw cosplay as a way to get in. You know, some people stuck with it and all that. You know, you
yeah,
can probably hear it in my voice, but I'm trying to like trying to breathe, Ed, breathe. You know, that type of thing. But yeah, no, like I said, I find. Yeah, so it's just the burnout itself. So yeah, that's the reason why I've not gone full time.
it's very real.
Because even I know, it's like, yes, I'm known. Yes, people like to shoot with me, but it's not like there's a there's a knock on my door going, "Oh, Eddie, that's great. Thank you for the vote. Can we do some shoots out of Comic Con? Don't worry, I'll pay you for that." Do you know how many times that I've been asked that last year? 0.
Hmm.
I've been asked to collab. That's different, and that was only once.
Yeah.
To be fair, once 1.5. We've been still. I'm trying to like plan it with another cosplay, but the timing has never fallen over each other. Shall we say, crossed over
Yeah.
each other. I don't charge at Comic Con. I may ask for a donation for the photos that I deliver. Do I get many donations? Not really. I think I only got three donations, and it was only price of a cup of coffee.
Yeah.
It varies a little bit, but what I'm trying to say is that being a cosplay photographer is not cheap. It's not easy. It's not, I understand that cosplayers themselves has put in a lot of money into the cosplay. Why would they pay for a photographer when I know they can get free photos of varying quality at Comic-Con for free? And there are some cheeky people who will charge their photography rates at a Comic-Con, and I really disagree with that on a lot of moral levels. But anyway, I'm
I feel important and special because I did send you money.
yes, you did. Thank you very much.
I'm passionate about that. I think it's partially because also in the cabaret community, I've seen how expensive it is to get photos done. Like normally, if you actually go to a photographer outside of the context of cosplay and a Comic-Con, it is really expensive to do a nice photo shoot. And it's kind of wild that a lot of cosplay photographers do it for free. So I'm kind of passionate, like, no, I need to give you money so you can buy some chicken or like some snacks.
Just literally, like a meal will be absolutely brilliant. I've got a whole tirade of things that you can help support a photographer if you can't pay for a shoot. But anyway, neither here nor there. Anyway, but yeah, just like that's what I'm saying. Being a full-time content creator, I understand Stella's point of view, why her way she spoke in that YouTube video is so different to how I met her
Yeah.
as a cosplayer at New York Comic Con. And I kind of see two different people within that Stella Chu world. Like, I've seen her video, she's bright, bubbly, and fun. But in that video, I just saw a whole different side of her, which I felt, I do feel like, oh no. But taking that emotion
In
out.
which way do you mean that? Like, oh no, are you okay?
No. As in, I feel like I think my natural response to anyone who makes cosplay their full-time gig is like you're kind of letting the in a sense that the this is very hard for me to describe, but the essence of what what cosplay is in the cosplay community, you let it die because you're now monetizing it, because a lot of us can't monetize it. We are doing it for the love and fun of it. But when you start monetizing it, I feel like this is going to get clipped out of our context now. But once you start monetizing it, you're moving to a different lane in the cosplay community. And I'm not saying that's wrong, and I'm not saying like people shouldn't do that, but that mindset changes because you're not doing it for fun anymore. You're doing it to like gain more followers so that they can donate money in any form of a fashion to keep you doing this. And because that different mindset kicks in, I think you forget the fun side of cosplay and therefore have that mindset. That's that's the bit inside. What I was also going to say, that taking the emotion out of that thought, I'm like, but you have to do that. You have to change your mindset, because if you're going to monetize again, you've got to be on it like a hawk. Because if you don't, if you don't do this, you don't do that. Like Stella, like listed like 6 things that she's done to gain money. You know, she creates Etsy account for like props that she's developed, and she like puts them online to go, if you want to buy these plants, buy them off me. You know, like I said, she does sponsorships with certain content creators, studios, game studios, things like that. She's not just relying on one, avenue at a time. She's opening up so many things, because she knows that one of these things is not going to be constant forever and a day. There'll be days where one thing will dry up, so it's the other things that got to like support her in not just her but her team, like you said. Anyway, I'll let you talk.
I think that's why I have a lot of empathy for her in this, because I've been through a lot of that journey when I became a full-time illustrator. Of the whole, I didn't enjoy making art anymore because I had to do it to make money, and the fun was out of it, and it took me a really long time to relearn how to draw for fun again. And I had a whole moment of like, what have I done? I've lost my hobby. And so what you're saying, like you're losing the thing that makes it cosplay, like I completely agree, you do. It's like the beauty of making your hobby your job is that you lose your hobby. What?
Yeah, absolutely. And that's another thing why I'm not gone full-time as a photographer in either profession, either brands, because photography is my hobby. My day job is IT support. I'm happy to keep those two separate. When I lose the IT support and that becomes my hobby becomes my main job, then what becomes my hobby? That I have none left.
Yeah. No, that's very real. That's one of the reasons I, for example, don't do any commissions cosplay wise. Like sometimes I'm asked if I do wig commissions, and I'm like, absolutely not, because that will make me hate wig styling. I know I will, because I went through that as an artist, and it took me a long time to grow beyond that. And this is my silly little hobby where I dress up, and I do not want to get stress involved.
100%, absolutely. And I've said this many times. If all cosplayers and all photographers can earn money through this, we'd all do it. Like, if we can charge, if us photographers can charge at a Comic Con, we would do it. Don't you? I might at this moment have the moral high ground by saying, "Oh, I don't charge at the Comic Con." Trust me, if there's a Comic Con that didn't that would allow us, I would be there. I'd absolutely be there. Don't get me wrong, but I will be very conscious about it by going, "Oh, do I want this to be my main job?" And I might do it. That might happen, but luckily, thank goodness that it's not, and I do choose to have this as a hobby and all that. But yeah, Is there any other part? Sorry, I should ask you this question. Was there any part of that video that you wanted to bring up? Just so because I noticed at the time I don't want to run this podcast too long.
No, there's nothing specific that I was like, oh, we haven't talked. We talked about a lot of it, and like in general, like I think she has a lot of very fair points, and a part where she has a very clumsy phrase, and I'm going to choose to believe that it's just something she said very clumsily that doesn't really reflect her opinion about cosplay competitions, and that might be naive of me, and I'm fine with that.
I will back up you on that, because later in that video she does talk about something she does called a cosplay showcase, where she'll get cosplayers that she knows or follows to be invited to a Comic-Con, get them on stage, and rather than just like a 1-minute skit and off they go, she'll have them on stage and interview them for 5 minutes talking about their cosplay.
Yes, I remember, and she pays them too.
And if that's something that she goes, if people say, "Oh, she doesn't care about cosplayers," sorry, that bit alone should, I'm not saying should redeem her, but that proves that she does.
It does though show that she walks the walk, that she says, I want this to be better for the content creator or the cosplayer involved. I want them to get a platform. I want them to be paid. And the fact that she actually gets them and pays them.
Yeah.
Like once someone puts their own money into something, I'm like, okay, you're serious about this.
100%. I don't know if I want this to be the last question, and this question just popped into my head. And I think because I said it earlier, and I want to bring it back. Do you think, and feel free to like either abstain from this question if you don't want to get involved, do you think there's a difference between cosplayer and content creator?
Oh yeah. I think absolutely. Again, I'm partially coming at this from the background of my main job making YouTube videos. It's like you asking me, is illustrating different from creating content about illustrations? Yes, because when you ask me, what are you doing when you are doing the thing that's called cosplay, I would tell you that I am creating a costume. I'm creating like a performance art basically of a character, and that I do that at a venue and I do that in person. I talk to people. I honestly, to me in my heart, I'm trying to create like an experience both for myself and for other people. And if you ask me, what are you doing when you are engaging in content creation, those are different actions to me. Like, and I think content creation itself, I have personal opinions about this. Content creation is such an empty phrase.
Yeah.
I'm always okay, what do you create? Do you make photos? Do you make costumes? What do you do?
Yeah.
And in this case, I'm creating content about either character skits or how I make things. But like, I think those are two very different things. And I think you can be an absolutely incredible cosplayer without ever making online content.
I think that's a lovely answer. I love that answer. I do think we need to bring this to a close. I think we can talk about this forever in a day, but I will leave you with the last words. Can you give me one thing about cosplay competition you want to tell the audience about, and one thing about the video that we are discussing about now?
So, one thing about cosplay competitions, I think one of the most important parts is that you enjoy it and feel like an absolute star. And if anyone's listening and thinking, I kind of want to do it, but I'm scared, I would really encourage you to do it, because everyone who is around you at that moment has also either is scared or has once been scared and totally understands you, and they want you to feel good and to be happy. So I hope it can be a good experience if you do try it.
And the video?
Yeah, for the last bit about the video, I think I've been very frustrated myself that I saw a lot of the discourse about what she said before I actually got to see the actual video, and I kind of struggled finding the original video. But actually, I agree with a lot of what she says from a business perspective. Yes, again, she has a very clumsy phrase, but the whole perspective of it's incredibly difficult to make money as a cosplayer is very real, and it is really difficult, and I think that really sucks to hear. And I think in that video I feel like I can hear some of her frustration, that it's just really difficult to make a sustainable living, and I get it.
No, absolutely, I agree with you on both those points. I think hopefully Lisa might back me on this. Do make sure if you're doing a cosplay competition, you're doing it for the right reasons as well. I think if you're doing it to prove something in a sense to others, you shouldn't be doing that. You should be proving something to yourself that you can make a costume, or if you want to make, win that top prize, then go for it. You will, aim for the peak, aim for the top prize. Oh, is that something you want to say?
No, I'm just thinking like, I don't mind if people want to prove something to others. I think a lot of people do things out of spite.
Yeah.
And I think if someone were to tell me, I think that silly little dress up hobby of yours is not going to get you anywhere. And I'm like, you know what? I'm going to stand on the biggest stage at the biggest Comic Con and have everyone look at me and admire me.
That I will accept. I will accept that. Absolutely 100%. And if you are listening to this and you went, oh, I'm actually angry at that one clip by Stella Chu, I would definitely encourage you to watch the whole video in context of everything else that's been said, and then judge it on that as well. If you still have the same opinion, she said something wrong, by all means, because I had that opinion as well. I think she did say something, as Lisa said, very clumsily, and I think if she could take that back, I hope she would. But in the context of the video, it kind of makes sense, but you have to watch the whole video to get that context. But I
really agree with you that the video needs to be watched. Also, something that I find sort of like frustrating with this whole discourse is that I've seen so many people talking about that one clip, but when I look at Inkwell's YouTube channel, this is not his most watched video. And it kind of shows me that a lot of people who are talking about this haven't actually gone back to watch it. And I feel like you can have an opinion about competitions, and you're absolutely fair to have that.
Yes.
But at some point, if you continue talking about it, you should take the time to figure out why it was said in order to talk about it.
Absolutely. And it took me a while to watch it because I've been so busy, and I thought, I better watch this because I will be ill-informed to do this podcast without any context, like saying why this was. Because Lisa would have had a go at me by saying, "Oh, hang on."
Oh, I would have.
Yeah, because how can you do a podcast on this if you've not watched the whole content? You can't just do it on this one little moment.
You can't cast judgment on a person either if you don't know the context of someone's words. I think it's so easy to take like a 4-second clip and say, well, that's bad. I was like, yeah, I'm quite sure there are many 4-second clips within this podcast that will make me look bad if you really want to.
And me as well.
Please don't. That would also be weird if you would try and look for that. But hey,
exactly, 100%. So, last warning: don't take any 4-second clips out of this and make us look bad. I think we've said what we could say so far. Hopefully, we'll be judged fairly out of this. Hopefully, fingers crossed. If not, it's been lovely knowing you, Lisa. Oh, dear me.
Food and cosplay cancelled. Hey.
Oh, do you know what? I'm not saying I'm waiting for that day. I do worry that day will come. Not an if, it'll be a when, and I don't know what I've done to deserve it, but I've always said I hope I can be redeemed from it if it's something that's said out of context or what. Anyway, neither here nor there. Anyway, Lisa, thank you very much for being on the podcast. It's been an absolute pleasure. Hopefully I can get you back on a different subject, hopefully less volatile, hopefully less cancelable. If people enjoyed listening to you and want to follow your work, where can they find you on the social medias?
I'm on all the social medias, I think, and my handle is Lisa LIZAH_AART, which the double A is unpronounceable in English, so I shouldn't give any more reasons to become a pirate.
Art. You don't have to give me a reason. I'll still say going art. Fantastic.
See, I could use this to cancel you for being like unkind towards foreigners.
100%. You can easily do that, and I will put my hands up going, I will put a statement out. I didn't realize I was being insensitive. I'm so sorry. I'm
very sorry, but it was very funny.
You have no idea that I've just gone very red. I'm like now panicking. Oh God, no. Oh no. I will actually be cancelled for this. Oh no. Oh Lord. Anyway, before I get cancelled, and if you do like to follow me still, if you go to foodandcosplay.org/links, you'll find all my social media links. Less hopefully cancelable things. If you go to foodandcosplay.org generally, you'll find cosplay photos, articles. As I said, I do a schedule soon, so details of that is already on the website, but my schedule will come out on April 27th on my website, plus all my social media links. If you go to foodandcosplay.org/podcast, you'll find previous recorded podcasts with different guests, different subjects. I do have a Patreon. I keep wanting to restart that out. I'll still start that back up soon. So yeah, and that's it really. So I think that's
So,
everything. Yes.
what did you say? Was that foodandcosplay.org/podcast?
Yes. Yeah. Yes.
Oh, amazing.
Oh yes. I've done about 248 podcasts. So yes, this will be 249. The one oh my lord, my birthday podcast is
That's
going to
a
be
lot.
250, I think. Actually,
Birthday podcast.
birthday podcast. I'm actually going to double check if that is actually. I'm going to be self-indulgent now. Is that actually
You
the number?
should.
Hang on. So yeah, this will be 249. So 250 is actually my birthday podcast. So
That's amazing.
thank you. I know I do enjoy doing these podcasts. I just for a while I've had to step back because again burnout and just find the time, and it's just hard. Anyway, neither here nor there. You need to go. I need to go. Let's put an end to this podcast. But Lisa, thank you very much for everything. I loved your viewpoint and everything. And hopefully I can get you back soon. And
You too. This was a really nice chat.
fantastic. Thank you very much. And on that, I hit the space button. I went mute. No. On that note, I hope you heard everything. But yes, I'll say that again. I've enjoyed you on the podcast. Yes, hope you get you back on. On that note, I'm going to say goodbye, and they're going to say goodbye. So bye, guys.
Bye.
Bye.
Bye-bye now.
Out.
Bye-bye. Are they gone?
I hope so. If they're not, then they're still listening to this bit. Why they're listening, I don't know. But yeah, should go away. Go. Stop the podcast. Press stop.
Go home.
Go home. Yes. Skip. Go to the next one. Go to the next one. Now. Now.
Go listen to the birthday podcast at foodandcosplay.org/podcast.
Something like that. Yeah.